That night, I was supposed to draw my bow for one final encore, not feel my stepfather's palm crack across my face in front of 250 parents. They thought I'd stay silent. But 250 phones rising in unison spoke everything I couldn't. As the stage transformed into a crime scene and the velvet curtains still trembled, I understood tonight I wasn't performing a piece, I was igniting a verdict. They assumed I was the good daughter who'd bow her head until the police sirens wailed right after the applause ended. My name is Rachel Hale, and the Craftsman House on Maple Street was supposed to be my sanctuary, not another battlefield. I'd saved for 15 years to buy this 2-bedroom refuge in Northbridge, Illinois. Every penny from teaching violin at Westfield Community Arts Center, every weekend gig, every holiday performance, all of it went toward those worn hardwood floors and the bay window where morning light caught dust motes like suspended notes. The house wasn't much, but it was mine. The deed said so. The mortgage payment I made every month said so. The calluses on my fingers from years of bow work that paid for it said so. But family has a way of rewriting ownership. The call came on a Tuesday while I was tuning strings in my home studio, the smaller bedroom I'd converted with acoustic panels and a music stand that wobbled just enough to remind me nothing was ever perfectly stable. My mother Marjorie's voice crackled through the speaker, sweet as artificial honey. "Brianna and Logan need somewhere to start their life together," she said, as if stating a universal truth. "Your master bedroom would be perfect for them." I set down my violin carefully. 20 years of dealing with her had taught me that careful movements bought thinking time. They can find their own place. Mom, like I did. Don't be selfish, Rachel. You're 32 and single. You don't need all that space. The word selfish hung in the air like rosin dust. It was her favorite weapon, sharpened through decades of use. When I was 12 and didn't want to share my violin with Brianna, selfish. When I was 18 and chose music school over the state college closer to home, selfish. When I was 25 and moved out despite her protests, catastrophically selfish. The house is mine. Mom, I'm not discussing this. That's when I heard the slam of Dale's fist on their kitchen table, even through the phone, 3 miles away. I recognized that particular percussion. It had punctuated my teenage years like a metronome of rage. "We'll talk about this after your recital." Dale's voice boomed in the background. Face to Face, the Spring Strings Showcase. This weekend, 250 parents and students would pack the multipurpose room at Jefferson Elementary to watch their children perform. I'd be there with my intermediate students, conducting, accompanying, trying to coax music from small hands that barely spanned 4 frets. And apparently, my family would be there too. I hung up and ran my fingers along the doorframe of my studio. Solid wood, painted 3 times by previous owners, each layer a decision to stay, to claim, to belong. The house had been built in 1928. It had weathered the Depression, wars, recessions, and families who'd fought their own battles within these walls. The previous owner, Mrs. Patterson, had died here peacefully at 91. Her children grown and gone, her ownership undisputed. That evening, I played Bach's Partita No. 2 until my shoulders ached. The chaconne, with its relentless variations, felt appropriate, the same theme transformed, twisted, but always returning to its fundamental assertion. This is mine. This is mine. This is mine. Through my window, I watched the neighborhood settle into evening routines. The Garcias across the street were grilling, smoke rising like incense. The Morrison kids were playing basketball, the hoop's backboard reverberating with each shot. Normal families doing normal things, respecting boundaries drawn by property lines and common decency. My phone buzzed. A text from Brianna. "Mom says you're being difficult about the room. Logan's parents are giving us $10,000 for the wedding. The least you could do is help with housing." I didn't respond. There was no point explaining that my help had been getting out of their lives, staying away from holiday dinners that ended in Dale's drunken tirades, building something they couldn't touch. The house was my held note, sustained against their chaos. But I knew they wouldn't stop. Dale Rowan had never met a boundary he wouldn't cross, a door he wouldn't shoulder through, a possession he wouldn't claim as somehow owed to him. And my mother, forever his echo, would harmonize with whatever violence he chose to conduct. I pulled out my laptop and began documenting. The date, the time, 8:43 p.m., the exact words used. If they wanted to make this a performance, I'd make sure someone was keeping score. The invasion started subtly, the way family violations always do, wrapped in reasonable requests and guilt-laden reminders. "We gave you $5,000 for your violin lessons when you were 16, my mother said during her next call, her voice pitched to that particular frequency of maternal martyrdom. "Dale worked overtime at the plant for months. Have you forgotten?" I hadn't forgotten. I also hadn't forgotten that I'd paid them back. With interest. 5 years ago. The canceled check was filed in my office, along with every other piece of evidence that I'd severed financial ties. But in Marjorie's mythology, debts to parents were eternal, compounding daily like some emotional usury. The escalation came Thursday afternoon. I returned from teaching to find Brianna's wedding boxes stacked in my garage. Crystal stemware, place settings for 200, a pristine white runner that would never survive actual use. A sticky note on top, written in my mother's careful cursive, "Just temporary storage." The garage was open. The garage was not open. The spare key I'd hidden under the fake rock by the azaleas, the one I'd told Mom about 2 years ago for emergencies, was missing from its hiding spot. I called immediately. "You need to return my spare key." "Don't be dramatic, Rachel. It's still family property." Dale's voice, not my mother's. He'd taken over her phone, or maybe he'd been listening all along. "Your mother has every right to access her daughter's home." "It's my home. My name on the deed. My mortgage payments." I kept my voice level, professional, the same tone I used with difficult parents who insisted their child deserved first chair despite never practicing. "We'll discuss this Saturday night, after your little concert." He said concert the way he'd always said it, like it was a child's tea party, not a professional obligation. I changed the locks that evening. The locksmith, a young guy named Marcus who'd seen enough domestic situations to recognize one, installed a deadbolt and a chain. "You might want to consider a doorbell camera too," he suggested quietly. "Records everything, uploads to the cloud." I bought one immediately. Friday brought new violations. My mother appeared at Westfield Community Arts Center during my lunch break, cornering me in the faculty room where other teachers were trying to eat their sandwiches in peace. "Brianna's been crying all week," she announced to the room. "Her own sister won't help with the wedding." What kind of family refuses to support each other? Sandra, who taught piano, glanced at me with sympathy. She'd met my mother before. "Mom, this isn't the place." "You're right. We should discuss this tomorrow at the showcase. In fact, Dale and I want to say a few words about family values during the parent appreciation segment." My stomach dropped. The parent appreciation segment was meant for PTA announcements and fundraising appeals, but technically any parent could request the microphone. The thought of Dale and Marjorie having a captive audience of 250 people, a platform to publicly shame me into compliance, made my hands shake. That night, I found Dale's truck in my driveway when I got home at 9:15 p.m. He was leaning against it, arms crossed, stance wide like he owned the asphalt beneath his feet. "Locks won't keep family out," he said, jingling something in his pocket. "Your mother made copies of the key months ago, for safety." "Get off my property!" He laughed, that harsh bark I remembered from every dinner where I dare voiced an opinion. "Property. You really think you earned all this yourself, without family support, without the foundation we provided?" I pulled out my phone, started recording. "I'm documenting this interaction. Please leave, or I'll call the police." His face darkened, but he moved toward his truck. "See you tomorrow night, Rachel. We'll settle this like family should, publicly." After he left, I went through the house with my phone, recording everything: the serial numbers on my electronics, the contents of my closets, My grandmother's china that my mother had always coveted. I uploaded everything to 3 different cloud services. Then I called Sandra. "Can you record tomorrow's showcase on your phone?" I asked. "The whole thing. Are you okay?" "I will be. I just need witnesses." I spent the rest of the night writing emails. To myself, documenting every interaction. To my lawyer friend from college, asking about tenant rights and restraining orders. To the 3 other parents I knew were lawyers, casually mentioning I was looking forward to seeing them at the showcase. By 3:30 a.m., I'd created a paper trail that would make a forensic accountant proud. Every threat, every boundary crossed, every manipulation timestamped and preserved. They thought tomorrow would be their stage. They were wrong. It would be their witness stand. The Jefferson Elementary multipurpose room smelled of floor wax and fruit punch, transformed for one night into a concert hall by strings of white lights and a banner reading "Spring Strings Showcase" in glittery letters. 250 metal folding chairs faced the makeshift stage where my students would soon perform. The halogen lights overhead buzzed with electric anticipation, casting everything in harsh, unforgiving clarity. I arrived at 6 p.m. So, an hour before showtime, to tune instruments and calm nervous 10-year-olds. My hands were steady as I rosigned bows and adjusted chin rests, but my peripheral vision stayed sharp, scanning for familiar figures. They came at 6:45, claiming seats in the 3rd row, center section optimal position for making a scene. Dale wore his good polo shirt, the navy one that stretched across his beer gut. Marjorie had dressed for church, complete with her pearl necklace that she touched whenever she lied. Brianna flanked them in her engagement ring, catching the light like a weapon. They sat with the satisfied air of people who'd already won. Ms. Hale. 7-year-old Timothy ran up, his violin case banging against his leg. "My mom says I can do the extra song if there's time. We'll see how the program runs," I told him, straightening his bow tie. Behind him, parents filed in, phones already out to record their children's performances. Good. The more cameras, the better. At 7 sharp, I stepped onto the stage. The microphone felt cold in my hand. "Welcome to our Spring Strings Showcase. These students have worked incredibly hard for 3 months to bring you tonight's performance." The program flowed as rehearsed. Beginning students scratched through "Twinkle, Twinkle." Intermediate players managed a credible "Canon in D." My advanced group, 3 talented 12-year-olds, brought tears with their rendition of "Ashokan Farewell." I conducted, accompanied on piano, adjusted music stands, and ignored the burning sensation of Dale's stare. After the final scheduled piece, the applause was warm and genuine. Parents stood, children beamed, and I felt that familiar flutter of accomplishment that made teaching worth it. Then I made my mistake. I agreed to Timothy's encore. As the boy positioned his violin for "Country Roads," my mother rose from her seat. "Before we end," she called out, her voice cutting through the settling crowd, "the family of Rachel Hale would like to say something." She didn't wait for permission, just walked toward the stage with Dale and Brianna behind her. The principal, Mrs. Washington, looked confused but didn't intervene. Parent appreciation was next on the program. After all, my mother took the microphone from its stand. "We're so proud of Rachel's work with your children. Family support is everything, isn't it? That's why we're thrilled to announce that Rachel is giving her master bedroom to her sister Brianna as a wedding gift." The room went silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights. Parents exchanged glances. Some pulled their children closer. "I'm not," I said clearly, my voice carrying without amplification. "That's my house. I'm not giving away any part of it." The words hung in the air for 3 seconds. Then Dale moved. He crossed the stage in 4 strides, his work boots thundering against the wooden platform. His hand came up and cracked across my face with the sound of a snare drum hit. The force spun me sideways, my violin clattering to the floor, the bridge popping off with a wooden snap. The room exploded. Phones rose like salutes, their cameras focused on Dale's face, still contorted with rage. Parents surged forward, creating a human barrier between him and me. Someone, I think it was Timothy's father, pinned Dale's arms while another parent, a woman in scrubs, checked my face with professional fingers. "Did you get that?" Voices called out. "I got it." "Me too." 3 different angles. Mrs. Washington was already on her phone with 911. "Assault at Jefferson Elementary. We need officers immediately." My mother grabbed for the microphone, trying to explain, to minimize, to rewrite what 250 people had just witnessed. But Sandra, wonderful Sandra, had climbed on stage and taken it from her. "Everyone please stay seated. The police are coming. Anyone who recorded the incident, please remain to give statements." Dale tried to shake off Timothy's father. "It's family business. This is between—" "No." The voice was mine, steady despite the throbbing in my jaw. "It's assault. In front of witnesses. In front of children." The sirens arrived in under 4 minutes. 2 officers entered to find Dale surrounded by a circle of parents, all with phones out, all recording. The red mark on my face was already darkening to purple under the merciless halogen lights. "We have video," at least 20 people said simultaneously. As the officers took Dale into custody, his hands behind his back in metal cuffs, my mother wailed about family misunderstandings. Brianna cried about her wedding. The children watched wide-eyed as their music teacher's stepfather was led away from their spring concert in a police car. I picked up my violin, noting the damage bridge broken, strings loosened, a new scratch across the varnish. Repairable. Unlike some things. "Are you pressing charges?" Officer Martinez asked quietly. "Yes." I looked at the room full of witnesses, cameras still recording, children learning what accountability looked like. Absolutely yes. By Sunday morning, I had 23 video files in my inbox. Parents had created a shared Google form anonymous if they preferred where they could upload their recordings. The footage came from every angle: Dale's approach from the left side, the impact from dead center, my violin falling from the right. One parent had been recording their daughter in the front row and caught Dale's face in high definition, his expression twisted with the kind of rage that prosecutors dream about. I sat at my kitchen table with an ice pack on my jaw, cataloging evidence. The doctor at urgent care had been thorough photographs of the bruising, measurements of the swelling, detailed notes about tender areas and restricted jaw movement. She'd seen enough domestic violence cases to know documentation mattered. "This happened at a school event," she'd asked while examining my face. 250 witnesses. Good. That changes everything. She was right. By Monday, I had an appointment with Sloane Carter, an attorney who specialized in domestic violence and civil protection orders. Her office in downtown Northbridge was deliberately comfortable soft chairs, warm lighting, boxes of tissues placed strategically but not obviously. "Tell me everything," Sloane said. "Legal pad ready. Start from the beginning." I laid out the timeline, the demands for my house, the copied keys, the garage invasion, the public ambush. Then I showed her the videos. She watched Dale's assault from 9 different angles, taking notes on a yellow pad, her expression professionally neutral except for a slight tightening around her eyes. "This is assault and battery," she said. "The location elevates it committing violence in front of minors. At a school function, that's aggravating circumstances. But there's more here." She pulled up Illinois statutes on her computer. "The key copying, entering your property, the threats that's criminal trespass, harassment, potentially stalking. The attempt to publicly coerce you into giving up your property could be considered extortion. What about a restraining order? Emergency order of protection first, immediately. Then we'll pursue a plenary order that's 2 years of protection. Given the public nature of the assault and the number of witnesses, I'd say our chances are excellent." She started building the case file. The videos went onto a USB drive for court. The urgent care records were copied. My documentation emails, texts, the doorbell camera footage of Dale at my house, all organized chronologically. "I also want to contact the school," Sloane said. "They'll need to file their own reports about violence on school property. And the PTA should know. for student safety protocols. By Tuesday, word had spread through the Westfield community. Parents stopped me in the grocery store to ask if I was okay, to offer their own recordings, to share similar stories. Mrs. Patterson from the PTA called an emergency board meeting. "We've had 7 parents express concern about Dale and Marjorie attending future school events," she told me. "There's precedent for banning individuals who commit violence at school functions." The criminal case moved faster than I expected. Dale had spent Saturday night in county jail before making bail Sunday afternoon. His arraignment was scheduled for Thursday. The prosecutor, a young woman named Andrea Feld, called me Tuesday afternoon. 23 separate videos, she said with something like awe. "I've never had a case with this much documentation. He can't claim it didn't happen, can't minimize it, can't say it was mutual combat. It's all there in HD. What charges assault battery, disturbing the peace, endangering minors? That last one is because he committed violence in front of children. Your stepfather is looking at potential jail time, mandatory anger management, and definitely probation." My phone rang constantly. Marjorie left voicemails that swung between tears and threats. "You're destroying our family." "Dale didn't mean it." "Think about Brianna's wedding." "You'll regret this." I forwarded everything to Sloan. Brianna texted once, "I can't believe you're doing this to us. All you had to do was share." I screenshot it, added it to the file. Wednesday brought an unexpected development. 12 parents had compiled their videos into a single presentation, a split screen showing the assault from multiple angles simultaneously. They'd added timestamps and slow-motion replay. It looked like evidence from a professional investigation. "We're submitting this to the school board," Timothy's mother told me, "and we're formally requesting that Dale and Marjorie be permanently banned from all school property and events." The Jefferson Elementary principal called that afternoon. "The school is filing its own charges." Mrs. Washington said, "Assault on school property, creating a dangerous environment for students, disrupting a school function. Our attorneys are coordinating with the prosecutor." By Thursday morning, I had a folder 3 inches thick. Police reports, medical records, witness statements from 43 parents, 6 teachers, and the principal. Photos showed my face in various stages of bruising purple to green to yellow, a timeline of violence healing. Sloan reviewed everything one more time before the emergency order hearing. "This is one of the strongest cases I've seen," she said. "Not because the violence was extreme, though it was bad enough, but because he was stupid enough to do it in public, in front of cameras, at a children's event." She paused, then added, "Your family clearly thought public shame would make you cave. Instead, they gave you an army of witnesses." I touched my jaw, still tender despite the fading bruises. "They always said family business stays private." "Not anymore," Sloan said, closing the file. "Now it's public record." The phone calls started Thursday evening, after Dale made bail with new restrictions, no contact with me, directly or through third parties. "Rachel, honey, please pick up." My mother's voicemail at 8:12 p.m. was syrup over broken glass. "We need to discuss this as a family. Dale's sorry. You know how his temper is." I let it record. Illinois was a 2-party consent state for recordings, but voicemails were fair game. The caller knew they were being recorded. Sloan had coached me carefully. Let them talk. The more they say, the more they incriminate themselves. At 9:43 p.m., the tone shifted. "You ungrateful little bitch." Dale's voice, despite the no-contact order. $40,000 we spent raising you. The violin, the lessons, the competitions. Time to pay up. I forwarded it to Sloan and the prosecutor immediately. Friday morning brought Marjorie in person to my doorstep. The doorbell camera captured everything: her finger on the bell, her face cycling through expressions like she was rehearsing for a play. "Rachel, I know you're home. Your car's here." I answered through the speaker. "Mom, I'm recording this interaction." "What do you want?" "Recording your mother." "What's happened to you?" "You're aware of the protection order proceedings. This contact may be illegal." "I'm documenting this for my attorney." She straightened, performing for the camera now. I'm just a mother trying to save her family. This house," she gestured at my front door, "should have been Brianna's. You know that. We discussed it when you bought it." "No, we didn't." "We did. I told you Brianna would need it one day. You said you understood. This was new. This fabrication. But I stayed calm, clinical. I have all our communications from the house purchase period. Would you like me to submit them to the court?" Her face flushed. "You were supposed to be successful by now, married, with your own family, not clinging to this house alone like some spinster." "Please leave my property." "It should be Brianna's property. She's the one getting married, starting a real life." "I'm calling the police now." She left, but not before adding, "Dale's going to take everything from you in court. Everything." That afternoon, Dale called from a different number. I saw the unfamiliar area code and answered carefully. "This call is being recorded." "Listen, you little—" He caught himself. "Rachel, let's be reasonable. Drop the charges, and we'll forget about the house. Are you offering to stop trying to steal my property if I drop criminal charges against you?" A pause. He knew how that sounded. "I'm saying family helps family. Like you helped me when you hit me in front of 250 people. That was a misunderstanding. 23 different camera angles suggest otherwise. You always were too smart for your own good." His voice dropped. That dangerous quiet I remembered from childhood. "But you're not that smart. The house, I've got copies of every key. Changed the locks, I'll change them back. You can't watch it 24/7. Are you threatening to break into my home?" "I'm saying you don't own anything I don't let you own." "Thank you for clarifying. This recording will be submitted to the court." He hung up. Saturday. Brianna tried a different approach text messages from her friend's phone, since I'd blocked hers. "Rachel, please. The wedding venue needs the deposit by Monday. If you won't give us the room, can you at least loan us $5,000? Then, 10 minutes later, Mom says the house was bought with family money anyway. The $5,000 they gave you for violin lessons? An hour later, "I'll tell everyone at Westfield what you're really like, how you abandoned family." I screenshot everything, building my file. Sunday afternoon, I got a call from Marcus, the locksmith who'd changed my locks. "Hey, Ms. Hale, strange thing, your stepdad just called asking for an emergency unlock at your address. Said he was the homeowner. Locked out." "What did you tell him?" "That I'd need to see ID and proof of ownership. He cursed me out and hung up. Thought you should know. Would you be willing to write a statement about that?" "Already did. Emailing it now." The pattern was clear. They couldn't stop themselves. Every threat, every attempt at manipulation, every lie was being captured, documented, filed. They were so used to family omerta, to victims who stayed quiet out of shame or fear or misguided loyalty, that they couldn't adapt to transparency. Monday morning, Sloan called with updates. Dale violated the criminal no-contact order with that Thursday voicemail. That's a new charge. The extortion attempt demanding money to drop claims on your house that's recorded. The threat to break in, also recorded. What does this mean? It means your emergency protection order is guaranteed, and the plenary order looks stronger every time they open their mouths. It also means Dale might be looking at actual prison time, not just county jail. They won't stop calling. Good. Let them. Every contact is another nail. You're doing everything right, staying calm, documenting, not engaging beyond the minimum. They're building our case for us. That evening, one final voicemail from Marjorie. "The whole family knows what you are now. When Dale gets through with you, you won't have anything. Not the house, not your reputation, nothing. Should have just given Brianna the room." I saved it, labeled it, added it to the folder that was now 4 inches thick and growing. They thought they were threatening me. Really. They were writing their own verdict, one recorded word at a time. The school board meeting was scheduled for Tuesday evening in the same multi-purpose room where Dale had struck me 10 days earlier. The spring concert decorations were gone, replaced by institutional beige and a podium bearing the Jefferson Elementary seal. By 7 p.m., the room was packed. Parents filled every seat, lined the walls, spilled into the hallway. Word had spread through PTA phone trees and neighborhood Facebook groups. This wasn't just about one incident anymore. This was about who could access their children's spaces. Mrs. Washington, the principal, opened with standard announcements before reaching the main agenda item. We're addressing the March 15th incident during the Spring Strings showcase and establishing protocols for maintaining safe environments at school events. Patricia Hendricks, PTA president and mother of 3, took the microphone. On the projection screen behind her, she clicked play on the compiled video the multi-angle footage parents had assembled. The room watched in silence as Dale crossed the stage, as his hand connected with my face, as my violin clattered to the floor. 53 parents have signed this statement, Patricia announced, holding up a bound document. We're requesting that Dale Rowan and Marjorie Rowan be permanently banned from all school property and school-sponsored events. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Then Timothy's father stood. My 7-year-old saw his music teacher assaulted. He's had nightmares. He asks if the angry man will come back. Another parent rose. My daughter was in the front row. She saw everything. She's afraid to perform now. One by one, they stood. Parents describing their children's reactions, their own horror at witnessing violence in what should be a safe space. The court reporter, Mrs. Washington, had hired typed steadily, creating official record. Then Marjorie walked in. She'd dressed carefully conservative skirt, minimal makeup, hair pulled back like a grieving widow. She moved toward the microphone with practiced dignity, but Patricia didn't yield the floor. Ma'am, you're not on the speaker list. I'm the mother of the victim, Marjorie said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Rachel is my daughter. This is a family matter that's been blown out of proportion. Your daughter is the victim, Patricia said coolly, and she's right there. She pointed to where I sat with Sloane. Would you like to ask her if this is a family matter? The room turned to me. I stood slowly, feeling 200 sets of eyes track my movement. 10 days ago, Dale Rowan assaulted me in front of your children, I said, my voice carrying without the microphone. My mother, Marjorie Rowan, has since attempted to coerce me into dropping charges. She's violated protection orders. She's threatened my home and livelihood. This stopped being a family matter when they chose to make it public. Rachel, please, Marjorie started. You're trespassing. Mrs. Washington interrupted. You were notified yesterday that you're temporarily banned from school property pending this review. Please leave, or I'll call security. These are taxpayers' public property. Marjorie's composure cracked. You can't ban taxpayers from public schools. We can ban individuals who pose a threat to student safety, the school board president said from his seat at the panel table. Mrs. Rowan, you need to leave, now. 2 security officers appeared at the doors, not aggressively, but present. Marjorie looked around the room, perhaps expecting support, finding only cold faces and recording phones. This is discrimination, she said. We'll sue the school. We'll sue all of you. Please do, someone called out. We have video. She left, her heels clicking sharp staccato on the linoleum. The meeting continued. The district's legal counsel presented their findings: assault on school property, creating unsafe environment for minors, disruption of educational activities. The school board voted unanimously. Dale and Marjorie Rowan were permanently banned from all district properties and events. Furthermore, the board president added, we're providing all documentation to the state attorney's office for their criminal case. The district will press its own charges. After the vote, parents surrounded me, not with pity, but with solidarity. Business cards from attorney parents, offers to testify. A therapist mother gave me resources for trauma counseling, not because you need it, but because it helps in court to show impact. Sandra, who'd been recording since the beginning, pulled me aside. There's something else. I've been in touch with other music teachers in the district. Dale showed up at Riverside Elementary last week. asking about their music program, mentioning you were his daughter. Security turned him away when he couldn't explain his business. He was looking for where else I teach. Seems like it. I've notified all the schools. Wednesday brought the compiled evidence to the prosecutor. The school board's official vote, their criminal complaint, the security report from Riverside Elementary, and a new piece 7 parents had hired a private investigator to document Dale and Marjorie's movements, concerned about them showing up at other children's events. "They've been driving past your house," the investigator told me, showing time-stamped photos. 3, 4 times a day, always slowing down, sometimes stopping. More evidence, more files, more proof that this was never about family or reconciliation. It was about control, possession, punishment for the sin of saying no. Thursday, local news picked up the story. Violence at children's concert leads to community action. They didn't name me, but they described the assault, the community response, the school board's decision. The reporter interviewed Patricia Hendricks, who said simply, "We protect our children and those who teach them. That's what communities do." By Friday, 48 other parents had submitted statements to the court supporting the protection order. The PTA had established a fund for upgraded security at school events. 3 neighboring schools had preemptively banned Dale and Marjorie. The second hearing was scheduled for Monday. Sloan was confident we had moved beyond he said she said into overwhelming documentation. But more importantly, I was no longer fighting alone. The community had decided some stages weren't meant for family drama, and some witnesses wouldn't stay silent. The courtroom at the Northbridge County Courthouse was smaller than I'd expected. Beige walls, fluorescent lights that hummed like an out-of-tune violin, and rows of wooden benches polished by decades of anxiety. Monday, 9 a.m. sharp. Judge Catherine Brennan presiding over the emergency protection order hearing. Sloan arranged our evidence on the plaintiff's table like a symphony score, each document in its place, ready to build toward crescendo. Across from us, Dale and Marjorie sat with their court-appointed attorney, a tired-looking man named Peterson who kept adjusting his glasses as he reviewed our filing. "This is an emergency petition for an order of protection," Judge Brennan began, reading from her notes. "Rachel Hale versus Dale Rowan and Marjorie Rowan. Ms. Carter, please present your evidence." Sloan stood, remote control in hand. "Your Honor, we have video evidence of assault, documentation of harassment, and proof of attempted property theft." The courtroom's flat-screen TV came alive with the multi-angle video. Dale's strike played out in high definition his approach. The impact. My violin falling. The judge watched without expression, but her pen moved steadily across her legal pad. "This occurred at a children's concert," she asked. "Yes, Your Honor. Spring String Showcase at Jefferson Elementary. 250 witnesses, including approximately 100 minors." Next came the evidence folders. Sloan presented each piece methodically. The deed to my house, solely in my name. The mortgage statements showing only my payments. The screenshot of Marjorie's text about copying keys. The locksmith's statement about Dale's attempted illegal entry. The doorbell camera footage of Dale threatening to take back my property. The recorded calls demanding I give my master bedroom to my sister. "Your Honor," Peterson interrupted, "these are family disputes. The Rowans were simply concerned about counsel." Judge Brennan cut him off. "I'm looking at assault charges, breaking and entering, and what appears to be attempted extortion. Please explain how this is simply a family dispute." Peterson shuffled his papers. "Mr. Rowan admits he lost his temper, but lost his temper." The judge pulled up the video again. He crossed a stage and struck his stepdaughter in front of children. This wasn't a momentary lapse. This was deliberate. She turned to the recordings. Dale's voice filled the courtroom. "You don't own anything I don't let you own." Then, $40,000 we spent raising you. Time to pay up." "Mr. Peterson," the judge said, "your client appears to be claiming ownership of property that isn't his and demanding payment for—" What exactly raising a child? Marjorie couldn't stay quiet. We supported her, the violin lessons, the competitions. Ma'am, you'll have your chance to speak, Judge Brennan said sharply. Then, to Sloane, continue. The school board resolution appeared on screen. The PTA petition with 53 signatures. The police report from Dale's arrest. Medical records showing my jaw injury. The investigators' photos of their drive-bys. Your Honor, Sloane said, the respondents have shown a pattern of escalating harassment. They've violated criminal no-contact orders, threatened property invasion, and attempted to use public humiliation to coerce my client. We're requesting a plenary order of protection. Does the defense wish to present evidence? Peterson stood reluctantly. My clients state that this is a misunderstanding about family property. Counsel, what evidence do you have? He had nothing. No documents showing Dale or Marjorie had any claim to my house. No proof of these alleged loans. No witnesses to dispute the video. Your Honor, Dale said suddenly, standing despite Peterson's attempt to stop him. That house should belong to the family. Rachel's being selfish. Mr. Rowan, selfishness is not illegal. Assault is. Attempted breaking and entering is. Harassment is. Judge Brennan's voice was steel. Do you have any legal claim to Ms. Hale's property? She owes us documentation, silence. Ms. Hale, the judge addressed me directly. Do you fear for your safety? I stood. Yes, Your Honor. Dale has a history of violence. They've copied my keys, attempted illegal entry, and threatened to take my property by force. I believe they'll escalate without court intervention. Judge Brennan nodded and began writing. The courtroom was silent except for her pen scratching. I'm granting the emergency order of protection, effective immediately, to be reviewed for plenary order in 21 days. Mr. and Mrs. Rowan, and by extension, Ms. Brianna Rowan, are prohibited from coming within 500 feet of Rachel Hale's residence, workplace, or person. This includes Westfield Community Arts Center and all associated performance venues. She continued reading, You are ordered to surrender any keys to Ms. Hale's property within 24 hours to the Sheriff's Department. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. You are prohibited from any contact direct, indirect, through third parties, electronic, or otherwise. Your Honor, Peterson tried. Brianna Rowan isn't named in the initial complaint. She participated in the harassment and trespassing. She stored property in Ms. Hale's garage without permission. She's included. Judge Brennan looked directly at Dale and Marjorie. Let me be crystal clear. If you violate this order, you will be arrested. If you come near Ms. Hale, you will be arrested. If you attempt to contact her or enter her property, you will be arrested. Given Mr. Rowan's existing criminal charges for assault, any violation could result in significant jail time. She turned to me. Ms. Hale, if they violate this order, call 911 immediately. Don't hesitate. Don't try to handle it yourself. Call the police? Yes, Your Honor. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm forwarding this entire file to the criminal court handling Mr. Rowan's assault case. The pattern of behavior documented here will be relevant to those proceedings. With a sharp strike of her gavel, it was done. Legal protection, enforced by the Sheriff's Department, backed by potential imprisonment. As we gathered our documents, Marjorie hissed across the aisle. This isn't over. Mrs. Rowan, Judge Brennan said without looking up from her papers. That sounded like a threat. Would you like to clarify that statement for the court record? Marjorie's mouth snapped shut. That's what I thought. Court is adjourned. The following Tuesday's community orchestra rehearsal was supposed to be routine preparation for our summer concert series at Northbridge Park. Same multi-purpose room at Jefferson Elementary. Same circle of music stands. Same parents who'd witnessed everything 2 weeks ago. What wasn't the same was the security guard stationed at the entrance, checking a list of banned individuals provided by the school district. At 7:30 p.m., halfway through Dvorak's New World Symphony, they appeared at the glass doors. Dale pressed his face against the window while Marjorie pounded on the locked entrance. Through the glass, we could see her mouth moving, demanding entry, claiming public space, invoking taxpayer rights. The security guard, a young man named Jerome, simply held up the restraining order and shook his head. I kept conducting, my baton steady, but every musician's eyes flickered toward the door. The parents in attendance, the same ones who'd recorded the assault, began standing up, not aggressively, just forming a human wall between the door and our rehearsal space. "Keep playing," I told my musicians. "Second movement, from measure 40. Dale's fist hit the door hard enough to rattle the frame. That's when Jerome called 911, speaking calmly into his radio while maintaining eye contact with Dale through the glass. The response was swift 3 squad cars in under 5 minutes. The restraining order meant this wasn't a warning situation. This was an arrest situation. I turned to watch as Officer Martinez, the same one from the assault night, read Dale his rights. The handcuffs caught the fluorescent light as they clicked shut. Behind him, Marjorie was screaming about discrimination, about family rights, about how they just wanted to talk. "That's him violating a restraining order," Patricia Hendricks said loudly, her phone recording everything. "That's arrest number 2. Through the window, I saw Dale's face as he was placed in the squad car. Our eyes met for a moment. I lifted my violin, positioned it carefully, and drew out a single, sustained note, high and sharp and cutting as a blade. The E string sang through the silence, a pitch that could shatter glass if played with enough force. He looked away first. The criminal trial for the original assault came 3 weeks later. By then, Dale had accumulated additional charges violating the protection order, attempted breaking and entering at the school, harassment. The 23 videos played for the jury. The complete phone recordings were submitted. The investigators' surveillance photos showed pattern behavior. The verdict was swift guilty on all counts. 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, mandatory anger management, and a permanent restraining order. No contact for 5 years. At sentencing, the judge addressed Dale directly. "Mr. Rowan, you turned a children's music recital into a crime scene. You traumatized young students who came to see their teacher perform. You attempted to steal property through intimidation and violence. This court sees no remorse, only escalation." Marjorie tried one last time as we left the courthouse, staying just beyond the 500-foot limit, shouting across the parking lot about forgiveness and family. I didn't respond. I'd learned the power of silence, of letting actions and consequences speak louder than any words. Brianna's wedding happened 3 months later. I knew because one of my students' mothers worked at the venue. "Small ceremony," she told me. "Maybe 30 people. The groom's family paid for everything. Your mother wore black like it was a funeral." By fall, I was back to my full teaching schedule. The students who'd witnessed the assault had processed it with help from the school counselor. Timothy, who'd wanted his encore that night, played it at our October recital, Country Roads, on his quarter-size violin, confident and unafraid. The Craftsman house on Maple Street remained mine. I reinforced the locks, installed security cameras, and planted rose bushes under the windows, beautiful and thorny, a natural barrier against unwanted visitors. The master bedroom stayed exactly as I'd arranged it, my sanctuary within a sanctuary. Sometimes, late at night, I played the chaconne in that room, the same piece I'd practiced the night they demanded my home. The notes filled the space that they'd tried to claim, each phrase an assertion. "This is mine. This is mine. This is mine." The last time I saw Dale was in a courtroom. The last time I heard from Marjorie was a letter my lawyer intercepted, full of blame and bitterness that no longer reached me. The last time Brianna contacted me was through a mutual acquaintance, asking if I'd reconsider now that things had calmed down. I declined. Some stages aren't meant for reconciliation. The restraining order document sits in my filing cabinet. Unnecessary now, but kept as reminder sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to let the world watch them swing. 250 witnesses, 23 cameras, one moment of violence that ended years of control. They thought that night would break me. Instead, it freed me. Every phone raised, every recording made, Every parent who stood between Dale and the door, they became my orchestra. And together, we played a symphony of accountability that echoed through courtrooms and school board meetings and community gatherings. The house is quiet now, peaceful, mine. The violin still bears the scratch from when it hit the stage floor, but it plays perfectly. Some damage, I've learned, doesn't diminish the music. Sometimes it makes it stronger, more resonant, a reminder that what survives violence can still sing. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Please share in the comments below so we can connect. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts. Has anyone else had to stand up to family members who wouldn't respect boundaries? Your experiences matter, and this community is here to listen.